Hello, I'm Mike Gordon. After waiting over a month to move, I decided to go, fuck it, I'm just gonna swap out Tekken 2 for World Championship Soccer for the Sega Genesis. Why? Because we're hosting the World Cup this year, and even though I'm a little late to the party and the USA's already eliminated, I'm gonna choose. And even though the USA is one of the worst teams in the game, I'm gonna just say, fuck it, I'm gonna play as the USA in World Championship Soccer. Now, without an instruction manual, I have no idea what any of these stat lines even are. All I know is that based on the stats, top to bottom, the USA is one of the worst teams in the game. So, perfect playthrough conditions are simple. We just need to win the World Cup, or I guess because they don't have the FIFA licenses, the World Championship Soccer. So, controls are very bare basic and pitifully easy, at least on paper. And I'm gonna get to the problems with the controls a bit. Basically, A and C both do what I like to call a ground kick. Basically, if you aim to score, and right now I'm the team in the red jerseys, trying to head north. So basically, all we have to do is win the entire World Cup with the USA. Why? Because I gotta represent my team, even though my team is already eliminated. So we need to win the World Cup. It takes about an hour and change to win the World Cup. So yeah, I think the absolute fastest time you can beat this game would be like, I would say 66, 67 minutes. But we're literally talking about one-score games with no other intermissions outside of halftime. So A and C is generally just like a ground kick. And you can even kick the opponents with A and C as well. B is a high kick, which you can actually kick in order to get a great deal of distance and avoid other players. You have to use the two not just to pass the ball around, but to tactically try to leave the opposing goalie wide open in order to get a goal in, because the AI in this game is super cheap. Like, I don't know why with Tireless Sword Baseball and World Championship Soccer, but the AI is near flawless in their execution in both those games. However, I do think World Championship Soccer is a better game than Tireless Sword Baseball, simply because you don't really need the instruction manual to figure out how to play the game. It's pitifully easy. This game is pitifully easy to pick up and play. It's just difficult to master and solve. I also say, because of this, that the AI is not as egregiously cheap in this game as it is in Timeless Orbit Baseball. But there is a problem. You know how sometimes I end up just stopping dead spat in the middle of the field and I don't do anything? You might think this is technical controls, and they sort of are, but they're nothing to do with my computer or my emulator. It's just for some reason, sometimes the controls just don't respond when you want them to. And I don't know why the controls don't respond to you. Why the controls may sometimes not respond to you, but man, they just... So yeah, this match that you see me playing right here is literally my first attempt at this game. So you can definitely tell I'm not fully optimizing my rosters to get those scores in quickly because I'm just trying to figure out how to play the game. So yeah, it's a 0-0 blank so far. Hopefully we can hit the goal at the end of the second half because crap. Honestly, it's a good thing I missed because I failed to realize that I was shooting at my own goal. So yes, it's one of those things where you swap positions after halftime. So now we have to hit the ball south. Now we have to head south to hit the ball. Now this isn't just my first time playing World Championship Soccer. This is my first time playing a soccer video game, period. I've not played any of the FIFA games or what's that series called that was developed by Konami. We only got the Super Nintendo version of the series over here. We never got the Genesis version. Is just PAL and Japan exclusive. But I heard those are also pretty great too. So yeah, I decided to choose this game because in addition to it being the World Cup that we're going through, and we're hosting because it's the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding. Yeah, 250 years ago, and I was 250 years and about 6 days ago was the day that our founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence and essentially declared war against Great Britain, against the British Empire. So, yeah, and this game, believe it or not, was originally going to be a weekend rental, but editing this video took a lot longer than I hoped. This would have been a weekend rental for 4th of July weekend. Ultimately, though, I decided I'm just going to cover this game entirely on its own as a perfect playthrough instead. And not only that, but due to the circumstances of the move, honestly, we've already begun the process of moving, and I'm already in the new place with my dad. Had he already been discharged and everything? I probably would have gone out of my way to. Alright, I already got my goal. USA is winning against FRG. Is that supposed to be like France or something? I don't recall ever seeing a G in France, so. So, a few bits of trivia here about this game. This is one of the few sports titles to have the exact same name in the U.S. as in Japan, which is World Championship Soccer. It's one of the few early sports titles, especially early sports titles, not to be licensed, not to have a sports license of any kind. And in PAL territories, I believe this game was called World Italia 91. Named so because the game came out in 1990 over there. And I believe it's only either the Italian or European circuit in PAL territories. Maybe not South Central America, but I don't really know what they call it there. It honestly makes sense that it wouldn't be called World Championship Soccer in those regions because Because as far as I know, the only place in the world where we call this game soccer is in the USA. Why? Because we already have our own game of football. Anyways, we won by a score of 1-0, which is fine because we have 2 points for a win. 2 points for a win. During the Elimination League, you get 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 0 for a loss. Nobody's tied in this round, so it's basically everyone's all or nothing at this point. So I forgot who we played, who FRG is. But our next opponent is the USSR, aka Mother Russia, while it was still under Soviet communist rule. However, this was 1989, so the USSR was essentially on its last legs as a thing, so. Right now, okay, so this is getting a little confusing, so I'm gonna tell you. I don't know why they keep changing our jersey colors and not in a way that makes sense to us. But here we are now dressed in our blue jerseys, while it's Russia who's dressed in entirely in red. Basically, no matter what happens, during World Cup mode, player 1 is always gonna start the game facing north. Starting the south side, need to score a goal on the north end. And then the second half, it's gonna be us guarding the north and trying to score a goal in the south end. You know, it like flips like that. So I have not yet figured out at this time is that you can actually kick the opposing players and steal the ball from them that way. Had I known this, I probably would have had far greater success in this game, like scoring at will, than I otherwise would have. Oh well. So really, all I'm trying to do is find the opposing goal and win that way. Ideally, you want to have you want to build up as big a league as possible, but ultimately all that matters is that you win by 1 score. If the difference is just a 1-score game, it doesn't matter if it's 1-0 or 6-0, you will win the game this way. So, something you want to know, yes. There's no way for... The shortest you can expect a game like this is probably is probably in theory like 66, 67 minutes long. And the reason why is because each half in real time is 4.5 minutes long. Start to finish, it's 4.5 minutes long. So basically, assuming no interruptions outside of halftime and transitions, each game would just be 9 minutes long, and also no kick-ins as well. However, there's also some in-betweens, so... And you also need... And every time you score, it's like 10 seconds gets added to that total. So let's say 30 minutes on average. You got a minute at the beginning, you got about 1 minute at the beginning, 1 minute at the very end. And then 30 seconds of filler between matches, including your 1 score. So 65, actually I would say about 68, 69 minutes would be a fair estimation on how long you can complete a game like this. Basically, if you don't have any kick-ins and you just score 1 point per game, you can probably beat this game in 68 minutes. 67, 68. So now we need a score on the south side, and they keep stealing the ball from us at will. So yeah, again, had I known, oh, looky here, we actually managed to get that in pretty quick against the USSR. Wasn't expecting that, but I'll take it. Oh, again, I am a little disappointed that I came to this a little late. Had I been at least a little timely, I would have... Had I at least been a little timely, I probably would have been able to... get this out a lot sooner while we, the USA, were still in the World Cup ourselves. Like, this would have been a great weekend rental to cover over 4th of July weekends. Sorry it took so long. So, I just seem to... Okay. We just have to guard... We just have to... All we have to do is hold this league because they're not making it easy, and and I'm still a little new to this game, so sorry, it's just... Now, is this like one of the best games to come out year one? No, but it is going to be my 11th perfect playthrough of a year one title, with only 5 more games to go. And I even covered 3 of those games as my first set of weekend rentals as well. Alright, so I'm just trying to... So I don't really have a whole lot to say about this game. But again, it's not like this is one of the greatest Sega Genesis games of all time, much less than 1989. I just prefer this to Tyrannosaurus Baseball. So yeah, I would like to explain a few things while I still have time in this game. Exactly what's going on with my channel. Yes, I've decided to swap out Tekken 2 as one of my 12 games of Christmas in favor of this game. The reason why is simply because I just don't have time to cover this game at this point in time. So, covering World Championship Soccer is short. You're meant to beat this game in one sitting. Like, there's literally no save or password feature in this game. At all. You're meant to beat this game within a 70-minute window, so... yeah. So we defeat FRG, and now we get take on in USSR. Now our final opponent is Belgium. and we win this game, we go straight to the playoffs. As the group champion. As the champion of the Group F bracket. So yeah, and by the way, Tekken 2 is not the only game that I decided to cancel plans for a Perfect Playthrough for this, at least for this year's 12 Games of Christmas. I also, you might notice that I have a gold, I back to seeing a gold and silver present once again. This isn't an accident. I've also decided to indefinitely postpone Final Fantasy, because if I don't have time to do Tekken 2, I most certainly do not have time to do 2 JRPGs. And I'm already far enough along in the other RPG that I'm working on. I can't exactly just cancel that one. I'm actually just working on that game's final I'm just working on this game's final grind is all. Yeah, it is a bit disappointing that I resorted to just playing another sports game when I said that I wasn't gonna do so, but it definitely isn't exactly a bucket list game in the strictest sense, but you know, at times of the essence, I don't know if I'll be able to continue Perfect Playthroughs, and I want to at least have some facility of a promise kept here, of actually keeping my promise. So how many? So the 6 brackets. How many teams make the playoffs? Do you think it's only gonna be like 8 with 2 wild cards, or maybe it's 6 teams but 2 of them get seeded? You don't have to play until the semifinals. Well, neither of them's true. Answer is 16 out of 24 teams. Honestly, I think they should have just made it a top 8. With 2 wild cards. I don't get why they had to make most teams eligible for the playoffs. Now, I don't even think this is every team in the world in real life, even back then, as back then very often many sports teams ultimately wind up getting left out. Like, even the first Madden, the first Joe Montana football game, and the first John Madden football game, each only had about 24 teams. Only had about 16 out of the 28 teams. So, I'm doing a better job at navigating this ball, and these stupid pauses, man. You think okay, I have a clear shot, I can now try to score a goal here, and for some reason the game won't let me. And I'm playing on BizHawk, and I can see the frame count. The frames are not turning red during these moments, so it's not like that I'm trying to shoot when the frames are frozen. Because the frames are not frozen, they're very much active. Your controls are still can respond. It's just when you want them to shoot or kick or pass the ball along to another player, sometimes the player just refuses to. And I don't get it. I do think this is the one problem with World Championship Soccer. Ultimately, it prevents this game from being just fine, modestly fine. And once again, I somehow managed to score a goal. A minute into the second half, no less. Gee, hopefully this means we get to score some more. Well, not necessarily, because I think at this point I'm just more content to just have a one score league, and I'm just willing to defend it for the full remaining duration of the half of the game. So yeah, well, I did try to run the score up on them a bit. It's pretty much, it's not a seriously earnest attempt. All I'm trying to do, all things considered, is stop the other team from scoring. I don't need to score some more, because so long as I'm just up 1 point, I'm good. Now, is this gonna allow me to improve drastically as a player? No. I do think this does have the problem of stifling my skill development playing this game a little bit, because it means I'm not really trying as hard as I should have. Hopefully this means that a problem doesn't arise that essentially makes me want to tear my hair out. Or at least I would tear my hair out, if not for the fact that I have a haircut. So yeah, I haven't thought about kicking the other player, even though they've done it to me a few times. So, something interesting I found out, because this is the first time ever that I paid much attention to professional soccer, given the current events and all that jazz. But apparently, unlike in most other sports leagues, really the clock never stops ticking down in real life soccer. Even in cases where a ball gets kicked out of bounds, even when there's a penalty being called, even if there's a kick in or a goal kick that needs to be made, even when a team scores a point, the clock keeps ticking. It never stops ticking for the full 90-minute. For the full 45-minute duration. Also, the clock ticks upwards as opposed to ticking down as it would in most American sports, but I digress. I say most American sports because golf, tennis, and baseball do not have timers, and could theoretically last an indefinite period of time. So right now, all I have to do is play keep away with Belgium here. So you just gotta waste some time. It's gonna take 2 minutes. You have the ball with the mid left in game, which in real life is like 5 seconds. Actually, I think it's like 6 seconds. So yeah, we won our group. Clean sweep. Oh, there, it's not France. So our first opponent in the finals tournament, the final 16, is Brazil. So, typically speaking, the best teams in World Championship Soccer are pretty much going to be your usual suspects. Spain, Portugal, Brazil, maybe even Italy because it was called World Italia Cup. And also, apparently, the USSR, aka the Soviet Union, aka Russia, as we now call it. They were known as the Soviet Union for the better part of 70 years. And yeah, Brazil is kind of lethal here. Now, again, it seems like our only jersey colors for USA are red and blue. Brazil here is yellow. At least they're not Chinese. By the way, I have no idea what the skill level of like China or Japan would be in this game. So I'm making a much more aggressive push to score here than I'm used to for the first half, because something you notice is that I've yet to score a single first half point. And it is again a little annoying, because if I could score a point in the first half, I can basically just stall the rest of the game out. So, alright, so you might notice too that my HUD is literally just a screenshot from my gameplay in the background. And believe it or not, I can't find wallpapers for these old sports games that are kind of fitting is really, really hard. Yeah, I decided to go with the red borders here just so you, the viewers, can be able to tell, be able to identify what is actually a so that you, the viewer, would be able to. Yeah, the red border. I always have a border so it doesn't look like the video, so that the gameplay footage is blending into the background. Which is what happened when I covered Legend of Zelda and Double Dragon, which means some really ugly HUDs, but for this game, really the red borders in the shadow, and the drop shadow are literally the only things that let you know that the HUD is literally in the background. So yeah, 9 minutes in game, which is more like, alright, if it's 4.5 minutes, it's real time, so. So it's more like, I think it's 10 seconds per in-game minute. So now it's 4 minutes real time that have passed. No way, it's 6 seconds per in-game minute, so yeah. Okay, we're 4 games into this perfect playthrough. We have yet to score a single first half point. At this point, we are, yeah. 4 games out of 7 that we have to play. 9 times 7 is 63 minutes, so there you go. That's how I know how long it takes. And rough estimates, if you count, say, all the in-betweens, as well as the intro, the outro, and the points we need to score a win, it's literally like 67 minutes for 7 consecutive one-score games. But man, this is... I think Brazil has to be one of the better teams in this game. Straight up. So I'm getting kind of frustrated because we still have not scored a point yet. It's still nothing all around. By the way, because this is the playoffs, a single loss means we are done. Game is over. Alright, let's go. Come on. So I wish I understood soccer terminology more. You know, I understand red, yellow cards because I played Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Come on, we... And of course, he gets the ball back, and they... Oh, we need to score a freaking point already! Alright, okay, I know this is pre-recorded footage here, but come on! Alright, come on. Oh, come on, we are almost out of time. And what happens if it's still 0-0? Well, we have overtime, and basically it's how many goals and is that each team has given at least 5 attempts to kick it into the goal. Whoever has the most points after that wins. Alright, at least we finally got a goal, so we got to avoid overtime. Thank God. So now all I have to do is defend my lead here. For another 10 minutes in game, which is like, if it's 10 seconds, it's really like a minute. I think it's just 1 minute real time at this point. And of course, the controls froze up. I guess another bright side too is that unlike Tyler Baseball, you're not physically controlling every single one of your players simultaneously. Actually, you're only in control of one player at a time. Anyways, time's up, and we move on to the quarterfinals against Spain, another candidate for toughest team in the game. And of course, we narrowly avoided getting into the goal. Come on, at some point I have to kick it into the goal. These nets sometime in the first half. This game ridiculous. I'm just one score in the second half, and that's it. clearly I need to stumble upon some sort of breakthrough and figure out what I'm doing wrong so I can make adjustments and score with greater frequency. But no, I've yet to figure out, oh yeah, I can just kick the other player and steal the ball from that way. Oh, come on. So something I have yet to toy around with is, why not just do like a high kick into the net and see what happens? Because you can... So at this point, I'm getting a little frustrated to try to figure out what it is I'm doing wrong. Sort of. The reason why I'm not showing much urgency here is because the way I see it, I've been scoring the second half all game long, and I have lots of game left to go, so as long as I get 1 point into the goal by the end of the game, that's fine. But this level of thinking also means that I'm not actually improving this game, so... Come on, let's steal this. Oh, come on, let's go! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go! Alright. Oh, let's go. Once again, a scoreless first half. Man, we managed to get a point in with 23 minutes to 77 minutes into the game last time. But Spain is like really good at stealing the ball from, swiping the ball from you. Ugh. I'm getting sick and tired of getting shut out in the first half of games. Like, come on! And, come on! Let's go! Let's hurry up! I wanna put a point on the board and then end the game, and then just stall you guys out. That is literally the story. I'm not, like, okay, the skill level for this game is pretty low. You don't need to be super, like, God tier. You only need to be God tier in order to outsmart the AI, but But by all intents and purposes, you can probably win this game with just modest levels of a modest skill level in soccer games. This is a pretty fast-moving game, all things considered, but you know what? This is basically a sports game for people who prefer action titles. So come on, I think we're approaching the halfway mark of. We are almost 3/4 done with this game and we still haven't scored a point in this half. Actually, we're 2/3 done right now and we still haven't scored. Yeah, we're past the halfway point. We're now 3/4 done and we still haven't scored a single point. Now, we're shutting them out too, so that's good. Come on. Oh, God damn it. Alright, let's go! Come on! We only have a minute to go in real time, 10 minutes in-game. We still have not scored a point. Come on! And at this point, this is when I start getting experimental because I'm getting so frustrated that I haven't scored yet. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong and how best to maximize my scoring potential, and nothing's working. Like, at least I'm getting to the goalie frequently, but I still have not scored a single point. So yeah, I figure out I can kick players, I can do some trick shots to try it out. I'll flank the goalie, but it's just not panning out. And time's up, scores nothing, so now we have to do overtime. Oh well, this is a perfect playthrough, so I might as well show off a single round overtime. So what we want to do is try to anticipate where the shots are going to go and block it. And then anticipate where he'll block it so we can shoot our scores. And my recommendation is to wait until he shoots and then point in the direction you want to go. So yeah, I won off of 3 overtime goalies. That's great. So no more Mr. Nice Guy. Come hell or high water, I'm going to score a first half point. But now I'm showing, hey, I can be quite aggressive now. Because now I'm no longer gonna stall things out. I'm just gonna pick up what I learned in my vain attempts to actually score in the last game and put it in good practice. And man, Poland is really good at. I'm more amazed that we gotta play Poland as opposed to somebody like Italy or even France, I would say. Portugal. And still nothing. Just sort of trying to figure it out. I do think it might be just way harder to score in the first half for some reason. That is in the second half. So I'm trying, sort of figuring things out. It's just they're not panning out in my favor. It's been a long time since I last scored. Since there were 77 minutes left in the game against Brazil, have I put points on the board. The problem is that this goalie is like really good at snagging the ball. So I'm just still trying to figure things out. Come on, let's go. That and some, like, I'm also trying to figure out if it's even possible to jump in this game, because I've yet to figure out how to jump. If I could figure that out, I would be unstoppable, because the AI can jump. I don't know why we can't. We hit the goal, the side, across the sidebar of the top of the net. We hit the top of the net, it bounced, it ricocheted, and we sidekicked it for our first half goal of our perfect playthrough. All right, breakthrough. Now I can really just stall. Now I can stall out the clock without worrying about. Oh look! Wide open, we managed to score a second goal. First time in this playthrough. Not just for us to scoring multiple goals, but also scoring the first half. We did both in the first half. So now I can really just, now I don't have as much pressure to guard our lead. Just have to play super aggressively, and we should be fine. We only have about 30 seconds in real time, and then we'll be done. Or is it like 50 seconds real time? Wow, I'm confused. So yeah. Alright, time's about run out. Alright, we're up 2-0 and it's the second half, so all we have to do is protect our lead and we should be good to go. Though I'm still a little beefed that we couldn't score a single point against Spain, so managed to sneak that one through. Now we're up 3-0. At this point, our lead is pretty much insurmountable against Poland. So yeah, 40 more minutes in game, which is about 4 minutes in real time. And of course, we couldn't sneak that one through. managed to sneak another one past the goalie. Wow. So we went from being thoroughly incapable of scoring to now being able to score, maybe not at will, but at a good enough frequency that I'm starting to feel really good about myself. I don't think I have to worry about losing at all, outside of a spectacular 3-minute collapse. Alright, so I'm just gonna take all my frustrations out on Poland here. That was a good try, but he recovered a little too quickly for my taste. Managed to sneak one last goalie in here. At this point, this game is as good as over. There is no feasible way the opponent can sneak in 5 to 6 goals against us in under 2 minutes. So yeah, we're definitely gonna move on to the final round where we'll be playing either France or the USSR again. As a reminder, the USSR were a division rival that managed to get in as a wild card. It was literally the only other division rival that we had that made it in to the playoffs as well. Probably by winning out against all their other opponents. And by the way, this is literally the game that appears on the HUD in the background right there. With the clock reading 57 minutes, so at this point it was like a 4-0 score lead at that point. Really good stuff. On just 2 more minutes, and yep, this game's over. We have won. We don't even need to try that hard. And yep, 5-0, absolute domination, and for our final opponent, it is our sworn enemies from the Cold War themselves, the USSR. Round 2. This time we are much better than we were when we first faced you guys. Last time we only won by 1-0. For now, I'm not content to just do the bare minimum. Look, for all intents and purposes, if I was playing on a real-life console growing up, I would only have about 30 seconds to wrap things up. And it's not possible to beat this game in under 60 minutes. Let me put this straight. It's not possible. So maybe Mom and Dad would show me some leniency here, especially since this was also one of the games that we happened to own back when we owned our first Genesis. Not with my uncle and his Genesis, but before my parents traded it in for a Sony PlayStation. So far this feels very much like your average, your typical game, where I'm not just scoring at will at all. But I am getting to the goalie a lot more frequently. Oh, good effort. Kicking the ball into the goalie and it ricocheting off of him, but not good enough. Alright, side kick to the left after it kicking it right into him, bouncing off of him. Finally, we have a 1-0 lead, and we can pretty much hold on to this lead for the rest of the game. And if we do that, congratulations. Well, I tried again. I can't help but to keep trying because at this point, I'm no longer content with just a 1-0 lead. I want to prove that I've actually come a long ways from my first attempt. But if I was having to contend with my brother and sister or with any of my cousins for the Sega Genesis, or any of my uncles playing this game, yeah, they would be doing everything in their power to try to screw me out of this game, out of winning this cup, because all they care about is for me, they only want me to be done with the Genesis so they can have the TV for themselves. But the uncles, it's literally to watch whatever sport happens to be on at any given time. Because outside COVID, there was literally during the lockdown, there was literally no period in time where there wasn't some sort of sporting event going on. Yeah, it's literally every sport with one of my uncles. Or with my cousins or siblings, it's literally they want their turn with the television or to play Sega. So I have to hunker down and try to concentrate while contending with all the ruckus actively trying to sabotage me. Of course, their attempts of sabotage would mean that they would still wait as long as they would have to if I was actually winning and doing well, but, you know, they don't care. They just want to screw me over so they could have their turn with the telly. Alright, so now we're in the second half. All we have to do is hold on to our lead and we will win, but we will still try to build up our lead just the same. And that was a good effort, but it was all in vain. And I keep trying to do the same thing, and he's always prepared to catch that. So this is getting a bit annoying, but since we're up a score, it doesn't matter so long as we continue to retain this lead. Come thick and thin. But yeah, this is why I'm wondering if it's at all possible to jump in this game, because it feels like it should be possible to jump, but I've yet to figure it out. Oh! Two of my players got on top of one another and was able to kick it in when it find an opening to kick it in. Wow. So now it's 2-0 with 30 more minutes to go, 3 minutes in real time. And that goalie is really, really, really stingy. So, once again, I was dealing with the controls not responding for whatever reason, and I don't even fully understand why they don't respond. And I managed to sneak in a third goal for extra measure. I will say, too, while I'm playing this, while the music's not bad, it does sort of drone in for quite a while. Like, I kind of wish there was a bit more variety in the music. It's okay, but when there's only like 3 or 4 tracks of the whole game, it's like not that impressive. So yeah. So while I will say I did like this game fine, it is probably in my new top 10 Sega Genesis games from 1989. I've yet to beat Arnold Parl's Tournament Golf, Last Battle, or Super Hang-On, even though I enjoy, at the very least, the latter 2 games. Managed to get sneak another one in, 4-0 with 12 minutes to go. Again, by all intents and purposes, this game is already won. But yeah, I think this is, honestly, this is stuff, I do think this game is absolutely fun to play if you get good at it. Oh! We managed to set a fly in the air, and the goalie just went way out of his box. So there was nothing protecting the net, so... Honestly, once you get to this level where you're just beating the shit out of the opponents, I think this game becomes a blast to play, honestly. Is it one of my absolute favorite games from Sega Genesis games 1999? No, but it is still a blast to play, you know. Revenge of Shinobi in goal. Oh, another goal. And the game's about to end right here and now. 6-0. Like, I'm just rubbing salt in the wound at this point. So yeah, Revenge of Shinobi is still a thing. Ghouls and Ghosts are still a thing. Ultra Beasts are still a thing. Those are my 3 favorite Genesis games of 1989. But yeah, this is... Honestly, given the rep this game has with a lot of people ripping into it, you would think this would be like the worst Genesis, or at least the second worst Genesis game released in 1989. Probably the second least popular game for that year, but I honestly actually kind of enjoy this game. Again, apologies for canceling Tekken 2 in favor of this game. It's just, it was just something I had to do. And as something that I had to do, I now remove Tekken 2 from my 12 games lineup to make way for World Championship Soccer as my 10th game of Christmas. Again, real life circumstances pretty much forced me to making this change. While it isn't exactly what I had in mind when I came up with this bucket list, needless to say, I still had fun with it. If I were to revisit Tekken 2, however, I promise it will be as one of my 12 games in 2026. Assuming, of course, that this isn't the end of my channel. And speaking of which, Tekken 2 isn't the only game swapped out of the lineup. You might have noticed I now have both my silver and gold boxes now, and that my Final Fantasy selection is now gone. Yes, I too had decided to swap this mainline Final Fantasy title out for something else, and just like with Tekken 2, I promise to revisit the Final Fantasy well come December 25th, assuming that Perfect Playthroughs will be continuing into 2027 and beyond. And spoilers, this game in question is gonna be another collection, this time from Disney. And no, it is not Kingdom Hearts, but regardless, be sure to tune in to find out what game it's gonna be. Until then, if you like to show your support, be sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have already done so, especially if you too were Team USA this year as well. Happy 250 America! Mike Gordon, sign out.